Hey guys, welcome to Unbiased Rugby. Well, maybe for this show it might be a little bit biased, but we've had the first team sheets out, or the new training squad for the Springboks this year. So obviously I've donned my unbiased clothing for the day. So I don't want to tell you which team I support, but I think you guys can figure it out as you go along. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to talk about the players that have been selected for the extended training camp. Obviously, this is going to be whittled down quite drastically. I may talk about one or two players and see if I think they would actually make it through to the final squad. We've been very, very fortunate. We've had, I think, 13 players come out from overseas. I think a lot of the rugby championship sides haven't seen these players play. Like I think Marcel Coetzee, Kobus Reinach. They haven't seen them play for a hell of a long time because they play a lot of the games in the Premiership. And it's quite interesting. I was watching, I think it was Saracens against Leinster. I think it could have been the game just before it. And it was at one point Vincent Koch came on the 10th minute, and they actually had a little meeting because they know Vincent Koch scrums a little bit differently, and then they actually had to get a message through to the loose head that was on the field that he needed to change the angle of his attack because Vincent Koch props a different way. It just goes to show you how much research goes into the players and how the team adapts to the certain players on the field. So a certain tight head plays a certain way, like Vincent Koch doesn't play the same as tight furlong. So yeah, it's very, very interesting. So it'd be quite interesting that a lot of the Southern Hemisphere sides haven't seen a lot of these players, but and South Africans, it would just be great to have a really strong South African side again, regardless of where those players come from. A win's a win, and in my point, at the end of the day, there's only one real important side in South Africa, and that's the Springboks, and that's the team that we want to have winning. And I'm sure the All Blacks feel exactly the same in New Zealand. England feel the same. Wales, Ireland, they all feel the same. There's only one big side. When we played rugby at school, you would go travel to an opposition, and you'd have under 13s, 14s, 15s, 16s. Then you'd have, depending how big the school is, my school only had a thirds, but some schools have sixes and six teams, and then have thirds, seconds, and then there was the first game. And you could lose every single game on the day. And if you won the first game, that was it. You won. It was the victory for the day. There was only one important side in the field, and that was the first. So it's exactly the same as international rugby. For me, there is only one important side in Springboks, and having a really strong Springbok side is really good for South African rugby in general. So I'm just going to go through the team sheet quickly. So obviously forwards, we've got Schalk Brits from the Bulls, Marcel Coetzee from Ulster, Loot de Jager from the Bulls, Thomas du Toit from the Sharks, Pieter-Steph du Toit from the Stormers, Reinach Elstad from Toulouse, Eben Etzebeth from Stormers, Lisa Gaboga from Bulls, Stephen Kitzel from the Stormers, Vincent Koch from Saracens, Sia Khaleesi from the Stormers, Francois Lowe from Bath, Frans Malherbe from Stormers, Malcolm Marks from the Lions, Bongi Mbonambi from the Stormers, Tenda Mataiarera from the Sharks, Franco Moster from Gloucester, Trevor Nyakani from the Bulls, Marvin Ori from the Lions, Kwaku Smith from the Lions, Archie Snyman from the Bulls, and Dwayne Vermeulen from the Bulls. So I'm going to talk about the forwards first. Okay, so there are a few players that actually from overseas. A lot of us have seen Francois Lowe. He has played quite a lot, and he has got a lot of tests. So even before when we had the 30 cap rule, he was still eligible to play. One thing I'm happy to see, I'm really happy to see Marcel Coetzee. I think he had a sublime season in the Pro 14. I think he's an exceptionally good player. It's nice to see Loot de Jager coming back from injury. For me, a hell of a lot has been said, but for me, the best locking pair in South Africa, for me personally, is Loot de Jager and Archie Snyman. I think they bring something special, and it's quite strange. Most people would think it'd be Eben Etzebeth and Loot. I just think Loot brings a lot more to the party than Eben Etzebeth does, and that's saying a lot. And yeah, I just feel that when Eben had his injury and he had a few little niggles, he's just, I don't know, there's just something missing. When he lost the captaincy, something's just not right. I think that 57-0 really did something to his psyche, and I still think he's a world-class player, and he just needs something a little bit extra, some training, maybe some mental training, and he'll be back up there. Props wise, oh damn, is that a bad sign? I hope it's not. That would not be a good sign. Let's put that up there. Go. Oh damn. Yeah. So talking about props. So obviously they're only going to take probably 5 props to the World Cup, 2 loose heads and probably 2 tight heads in the utility. So for me, the informed loose head in the country at the moment is Lisa Gqoboka, but I just don't think he's going to Tendai. They're going to take Tendai. He's got the experience, and they're going to take Stephen. I think he's proven himself at the big matches. So yeah, I just don't see Lisa Gqoboka making it, even though I still think he is the informed loose head in this country at the moment. Tight head side, Frans Malherbe is going to be starting. It's without a doubt. From that, I'd probably go. Probably Vincent Koch would be the second choice. I think he brings a world of experience, and then the utility, probably Trevor Nyankani. He's got more than enough caps. He's been there. He's done it. I think he'll be the third choice, but because he can play loose head and tight head, he's more tight head, but he can play loose head in a cinch. I know that Thomas du Toit and a few other players are going to miss out, but yeah, I just have a feeling that those are going to be the players. They're going to take Malcolm Marx and Bongi and Mbonambi as our number 2s. I know they're going to take Schalk Brits because he brings something a little bit different to the dynamic of the side. But if he's not going to play, then there's no point in taking him, and that's just the bottom line. There's other players that we could take if he's not going to play. He has to play. So yeah, but I still think our starting number 2 is Malcolm Marx. Sia's going to probably be our number 6. I think it's a given. Peter Stephan at 7, and Dwayne Vermeulen at 8. I'd love to see a Kwagga Smith, but I just don't see him actually making it to the World Cup. It'd be great to see him there. I just think there's other players that bring a little bit more. Marcel Coetzee especially, that brings a hell of a lot more. Obviously I don't see a Dan du Toit. I don't see any of the du Toit brothers. It's Dupree brothers, I mean. So that's a little bit quite strange. Actually, there's Frank Mostert. He could also probably be the third lock. So yeah, I think it's a pretty good set of forwards. I think they can stand up against most teams in the world. So yeah, I think we're very, very fortunate when it comes to our forwards. One or two positions that still a little bit, I don't know. I still don't know if we have a world-class tight head, and I know Vincent Koch is an exceptionally good tight head, but I don't know if he's an Owen Franks or a Tide Furlong. That's just my opinion there. Yeah, let's go into the backs. Laconia Arm from the Sharks, Damon Delenda from the Stormers, Andre Esthuizen from the Sharks, Faf de Klerk from Sale, Afia Deonte from the Lions, Warwick Gelant from the Bulls, Elton Yankees from the Lions, Herschel Yankees from the Stormers, Cheslin Colby from Toulouse, Jesse Creel from the Bulls, Dylan Lates from the Stormers, Makazole Mpimpi from the Sharks, Sibusiso Nkosi from the Sharks, Willie Leroux from Toyota Verblitz or Wasps previously, Andre Pollard from the Bulls, Kobus Reiner from Northampton Saints, and Frans Steyn from Montpellier. I think the big one there is Frans Steyn. His inclusion in the thing. I don't know why he's there. There's a lot of reason, because he's a really good utility player. I prefer Jan Serfontein to Frans Steyn. I just think, there's been so many coaches that he's had a problem with. I used to come back from work when I used to work for a company, and I used to always be angry at everybody and say, "Oh, this bloody idiot, messing with my head, and this person and that person." And Joanne eventually turned to me and said, "Hey, Donovan, it can't be everybody else. Maybe it's you that's the problem." So I started my own business, and there we go, solved the problem. But yeah, it's I just don't. I hope I hope he's relaxed over these couple of years, and he's a bit more chilled, and he can actually bring something to the side, because he is an exceptionally good player. But yeah, for him to replace a Jan Serfontein, I don't know. I still think the best number 12 that's come out of this country in the last couple of years is Jan Serfontein by a country mile. I really do think he's the best number 12 that's come out. But yeah, I'm just going to go through who I think are going to be the starters, and obviously after that, obviously Faf de Klerk's going to probably be our starting 9. If I look here, I know they've got Herschel Jantjies from the Stormers, and I think he was the best number 9 that played in the country this year. But with Kobus Reinach there, I just think Kobus Reinach, his speed, he's just he brings something extra. You know, it's like if you look at Aaron Smith and you look at TJ Perenara, they're completely different players, they're completely different styles. And then Aaron Smith normally plays the first 60 minutes, and then TJ Perenara comes on with that physicality, and they're completely different. He brings something completely different. And I think Reinach and Faf they bring something different to the party. But I'm glad that Herschel Jantjies is there, that he's in the system, and that he's going to start learning the ins and outs of the Springbok system. 10, okay, it's Andre Pollard's going to be the starting 10 for South Africa, with Elton Jantjies as the backup. I don't think they're going to look past that. They've got Frans Steyn if something goes horribly wrong in the 10 position. I don't see other specialist, any 2 specialist 10s there. Okay, then we come to the 12s. We've got Damon Delender, Andre Esthuizen coming through, Frans Steyn. So I still don't think Andre Esthuizen and Damon Delender have really put their mark on that 12 position. I find that they're bash players. They like to go into contact, and they're just not as good as Lamapi at going into contact. That's if you're going to play that kind of style, then that's the kind of player you need to emulate, and they're not, and they're not emulating that. So what are they? Are they linking players like a Ryan Crotty, who's exceptionally good at linking the players around him, or are they the bash kind of player? So yeah, I still don't think they've put their mark on their players. Then I'd probably say our 2 best backs as players in the 13 position. I've got Lekonya Arm and Jesse Creel. I still think both of those are probably our 2 best. It's pity one of them's not a dedicated 12, and we've got 2 exceptional 13s, and they play completely different styles of rugby. If you look at Jesse Creel's really good, really strong on attack, and really good on defence. So he's very physical, very strong. Whereas Lekonya Arm is a playmaker. He understands space. He puts other players into space. So he's a very unselfish kind of player when it comes to that. Look, I'm a big Jesse Creel fan, but I still think Lekonya Arm's probably our best choice at 13. But look, at the end of the day, if you've got Jesse Creel, who also can cover as a wing, so yeah, I think he's an exceptional addition to the side. So yeah, pretty tight, that one. Then on the number 11s, I think we've got Makazole and Pimpi, and I think the other number 11 is Afia Deonte. I think those are the 2 11s that we've got. Both except I think Makazole and Pimpi is probably the informed player for outside backs that the country has at the moment. He's a try-scoring machine. And Afia Deonte he started off quite slow at the beginning of the season. I think a lot of things with World Player, Breaker Through Player of the Year. I think there were a lot of things in his head that it just took him a while to get into the swing of things. But when he started getting near the last part of the season, he really was scoring some exceptionally good tries. So yeah, he really was building himself back into form. On the other side, obviously we've got Sabun Corsi. There's probably Cheslin Colby. And obviously Dylan Lates, and you know, I had a problem with Dylan Lates for a hell of a long time. You know, we had a really bad time with one of our coaches, and he just seemed to choose the wrong kind of players. And Dylan Lates was thrust into a system that wasn't quite right for him, and he just didn't seem to step up to the international level. I know that. he's been an exceptionally on-form player this year. So, and he covers all three back positions. So yeah, it might be a really good inclusion to have him going forward. And he's been there. He's a little bit older. He's a little bit older than Springboks and Cheslin Kolbe. So yeah, he's got that versatility. And then we get to the fullbacks. You know, obviously, I'm looking here. We got Warwick Galant from the Bulls. It's quite because I had a feeling that they would have chosen Dylan Nates, the guy from the Stormers, also exceptionally good player. He'll come to me. But yeah, we also got Cheslin Kolbe, who plays 15 for Toulouse. And, you can say whatever, he's too small, blah, blah, blah. It's rubbish. It's absolute rubbish. Because no one says Damien McKenzie's too small. They may have said that in the beginning. But you got Damien McKenzie, Cheslin Kolbe, they're similar kind of players, hot steppers. They're exceptional players across the field. So, yeah, I think it's rubbish now what that thing about size. It really doesn't mean anything nowadays. But yeah, guys, that's the training squad. I think obviously this is going to be whittled down quite drastically in the next couple of weeks before the Rugby Championship. Now, what do you think of the forwards and the backs? I can't see any glaring holes. I think it's a pretty well balanced side. Across the board, we've got a bit of experience. Oh, sorry, Willie Leroux. Sorry, I actually forgot Willie Leroux. He's probably going to be the starting 15, even though I don't think he's had such a great season at Wasps. But I think there was a lot happening behind the scenes at Wasps that we didn't see with him knowing that he was going to be leaving and they were replacing him. So yeah, I just think he brings some stability to the back three that maybe some of the other players don't. But yeah, guys, what do you think of the sides? I'm super happy with the forwards. I think we've got a really good tight five combinations that we could have. I think we've still got to play with the loose trio, but I think we've pretty settled on Sia Khaleesi, Peter Steff, and Dwayne Vermeulen as our back three. 9-10 combination, we're looking at Faf and Andre. I've got a feeling that Frans Steyn's going to be inside centre with maybe probably Lukonya Arm at our 13. I think that's going to happen. I think Afia Durante is going to play 11, Subunkosi 14, and 15's it's probably going to be Willie Leroux. Let's be honest. But I'm glad that they've got young players there like Warwick Galant, and we've got these players that are really good that need to be drawn into the system, and not like last time in Warwick Galant's first game in the Springboks, and they went and put him on wing, out of his comfort zone. The guy needs to come on in the last 20 minutes, play 20 minutes of Springbok rugby, and slowly start building himself on the side. It's time for us to start building a bit of succession planning at Springbok rugby, not having these super talented young guys coming through and then we just throw them in the deep end, and it doesn't work. We've always relied on that in the past, but it's time for us to start building a little bit of depth and a little bit, so we've got the next generation coming through all the time. But listen, guys, I think I've kept most of your time going for now, but just put down who you think are glaring omissions. For me, there's probably one in Jan Serfontein. That's my biggest glaring omission from this side. But yeah, maybe you could step in a little bit later. Listen, guys, I hope you guys have an absolutely wonderful week. We've got Super Rugby final this coming week, and I think in the next couple of weeks we've got the start of the Rugby Championship. So it's exciting times, and I think it's less than 80 days or 70 days to the Rugby World Cup. It's going to be exceptional. Listen, guys, chat soon. Bye.